There's a war happening right now, and you didn't even know you were drafted. No bullets, no bloodshed, just silence and smiles, and carefully chosen words that cut deeper than any blade ever could. Machiavelli understood something most people spend their entire lives denying, that human interaction is theater, and every conversation is a negotiation for power, respect, or survival. He wrote about princes and kingdoms, but what he was really writing about was you, sitting there right now, playing a game you never agreed to play, following rules you never learned, losing battles you didn't know had begun. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you smiled through anger, nodded through disagreement, agreed to things that made your stomach turn? You think that's kindness, don't you? You think that's being reasonable, being mature, being the bigger person. But what if I told you that every time you do that, you're teaching people exactly how much of you they can take? Machiavelli knew that the most dangerous weapon in psychological warfare isn't aggression. It's your own desperate need to be liked, to be accepted, to avoid conflict at any cost. And people who understand this, people who've read the invisible manual you never got, they use it against you every single day. The first unseen rule is simple but devastating. Never reveal your true intentions until it's too late for anyone to stop you. Watch how power moves in the real world. The colleague who undermines you doesn't announce their campaign. They ask innocent questions in meetings that plant seeds of doubt. The friend who envies you doesn't confess their jealousy. They offer advice designed to keep you small. The partner who wants control doesn't demand it. They create situations where you voluntarily surrender it, piece by piece, until you wake up one day and realize you've been living someone else's life. Machiavelli understood that transparency is a luxury only the powerless can afford, and honesty is often just another word for strategic incompetence. But here's where it gets darker, where the mirror turns toward you instead of them. What if you're doing it too? What if you're so busy hunting for manipulation in others that you've never stopped to examine the calculated performances you give every day? Think about it. Really think. How much of what you show the world is authentic, and how much is carefully curated to achieve specific results? When you post on social media, are you sharing your life or crafting your mythology? When you tell your story to new people, are you being honest, or are you presenting the version that makes you look best, that hides your shame, that rewrites your failures into noble struggles? The second rule cuts even deeper. Create dependence, never inspire independence. Look at the relationships in your life through this lens and watch them transform into something you might not want to see. The boss who keeps you just competent enough to need them, never skilled enough to leave. The parent who helps so much you never learn to stand alone. The partner who solves all your problems until you forget you ever knew how to solve your own. Love, mentorship, friendship, they can all become cages if the person offering them needs you to need them more than they need you to thrive. And the cruelest part? They often believe they're helping. They've convinced themselves that their control is care, that their manipulation is protection, that keeping you dependent is the same as keeping you safe. Do you see the pattern yet? Do you feel the ground shifting beneath certainties you thought were solid? Psychological warfare isn't something that happens in spy novels or political thrones. It's the texture of ordinary life, the background radiation of human interaction that we've all agreed to pretend isn't there. Machiavelli's genius wasn't that he invented these strategies. It was that he had the audacity to name them, to drag them into the light and say, this is what we do to each other. This is who we really are, when survival and ego and desire collide. The third unseen rule might be the most uncomfortable. Perception is reality, and controlling the narrative is more powerful than controlling the truth. Someone can destroy your reputation with a rumor faster than you can rebuild it with facts. Someone can rewrite history simply by telling their version louder, longer, more convincingly than you tell yours. And here's the part that keeps you up at night if you let it. Sometimes the villain in someone else's story is you. Sometimes you're the one being whispered about, the one being reframed, the one whose intentions are being translated into something darker by people who need you to be the bad guy in their narrative. How do you defend yourself against accusations that were never made directly? How do you fight interpretations of your minds, actions that live only in other people's minds? But let me ask you this. Why do these rules work? Why is psychological warfare even possible? Because we're lonely. Because we're desperate to believe that people mean what they say and want what's good for us. Because admitting that human interaction is often strategic, transactional, and self-serving feels too cynical, too dark, too sad. So we choose the beautiful lie over the ugly truth. We choose to believe that people's words match their intentions, that their smiles mean warmth, that their offers come without strings. And in that gap between what we want to believe and what is actually true, manipulation thrives like a weed in fertile soil. The final rule Machiavelli whispered through centuries. The person who cares less has more power. In every negotiation, every relationship, every interaction, whoever is more willing to walk away holds all the cards. This is why desperation smells like blood in the water. This is why neediness repels and indifference attracts. This is why the moment you show someone that you need them more than they need you, the terms of engagement shift, and rarely in your favor. It's brutal, it's cold, it's true. So what do you do with this knowledge? Do you become the manipulator, the strategist, the player who sees every interaction as a battlefield? Or do you choose something harder? Awareness without cruelty, strength without exploitation, boundaries without warfare. Maybe the real power isn't in winning these games, but in refusing to play them at all, in building a life so solid that other people's psychological chess moves can't shake your foundation. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. If this made you think deeply, make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe for more. Retry.